Okay, so I'm going to introduce BoxyLady a little bit by saying a little bit about some of the stuff it can do. So let's start with a straightforward little scale. So I've here got the numbers indicating the note values. That's 4 for a crotchet, 8 for a quaver, and then you just type the names of the notes you want. So I run that and it gives me a little bit of scale. That's a bit beepy. I can actually load in a sound effect I've already prepared. So here's a kind of a clarinet one, and just prefixing the sample name with a hash sign just indicates that that's what it's going to use. So there we go. I can put articulations on notes as well, so they're followed by a hyphen and then the articulation. So a dot just gives a staccato, a asterisk starts a slur, and an exclamation mark, a playing if you like, finishes one. There we go. We can also do chords, so they put into angled brackets as so. You'll notice the little prime marks after notes. That means they're going up an octave rather than down, because, for example, the nearest B to a D is obviously the one below, and that's not what I want there. I can also change the amplitude. That stops it from distorting when it reaches the maximum volume that the note can produce. I can also, you might be wondering how you do accidentals. They're done in the European fashion, so adding is for a sharp and S for a flat, as demonstrated there. What I designed this program to do was to be able to experiment with different tunings and all that type of thing. So, for example, I can just specify very simply with the function here, tuning, to use 19 tone equal temperament. In that case, my enharmonically equivalent notes in 12 temperament are not enharmonically equivalent anymore. So you can see there, for example, that an E flat is now no longer the same thing as a D sharp, giving you a little bit of an interesting effect. I've also programmed in as one of the default options the Boland-Pierce scale, so here I've specified that. You'll see now we've got some extra notes in there. We've got an H and we've got a J, and this isn't an octave repeating scale, so a C to the C above is actually a perfect 12th, not an octave. Quite a fan of Wendy. For example, here is her beta scale being selected as a tuning. You'll notice now I've got my angle brackets and I've got square brackets within them. So square brackets indicate back to tunes rather than chords. So by nesting these, I can do all sorts of polyphony. Dots on note values there indicate dots as you'd expect to see in normal musical notation. This is borrowing a little bit some of the syntax from Lilypond, for those of you who have done typesetting in Lilypond. Finally, a little bit more of a complicated example showing some of the features of this. So notes two-tone there is suggesting a mean tone, well, not mean tone actually, a mean tone like tuning system where I specify that the major tones and minor tones actually have different values, so it's not mean tone. I then specify equal tempered with a repeat ratio of 2, so normal octaves, and just going to tell it what my default note is, which is the A in the 4th octave. So that's going to correspond to 440 Hertz, my default here. And then St Anne just gives us the hymn tune St Anne, which I'm using as a test. So there we go, that's a bit of a tour around some of the features of BoxyLady, which has been an ongoing project for quite a while now. Thank you.